Hello, this is Britt LaRoche. I'm a senior solutions architect at MongoDB, and today we're going to talk about the exciting world of machine learning with MongoDB Atlas, Realm, and TensorFlow.js. We've been hired in this example by a fictitious company called Brave Organics. And Brave Organics is a convenience store operator that sells local organic food and gasoline. We've been hired specifically to do machine learning against their sales data to give them the right price to charge to maximize their profits. In the next few minutes, we're actually going to do this for them. I'm going to go ahead and show you the location data for we have store 101. This is the location of that store. Over here, we're going to see store 102, and it's selling for $1.89, and it's right up against the freeway. Let's go ahead and load the data in for store 101. We're going to import the CS. Actually, we're actually going to load this directly from the database from MongoDB Atlas. We're going to prepare the model, and we can actually see the data for store 101. We're going to train this model against 500 epochs with a batch size of 10 to loop through this data and actually give us what a good prediction line would be so that we could type in any value and it would predict how many gallons we would sell based off of our data. And as we start this, we can see the loss function dropping. We can actually see the trend line or the prediction line starting to map to the data. And we can also see the number of dense layers that we have. And each one of them has input and an output. And this is TF sequential. So it's actually doing in sequential format. So what we're doing is machine learning in the browser. And we're actually running this. Gone are the days where I had to install complex Hadoop infrastructure and Spark to do machine learning. I can now do TensorFlow.js in my browser, pulling data from MongoDB, running as a service, or if I wish, connecting to Google TensorFlow, running in GCP. One of the new things that's happened with MongoDB Atlas is that we're actually able to go in and see, run our database as a service offering across all three of the major cloud providers. It runs in GCP, it runs in Azure and AWS, and it runs simultaneously in all three. That means that I could take advantage of Google's machine learning with a replica set located in GCP while I run other data and other things and other cloud providers at the same time. Nonetheless, we're actually training our model, and we can see the loss function dropping. Once the model is actually lined up correctly with the data, we can do our predictions. I can not only just look at the prediction data, but I can load the trained model. I can save the trained model to the database and then have other people load it and do machine learning without having to take the time to train their model. Again, I can train the model in GCP and take advantage of their tensor processing units, their GPUs and their CPUs if I so choose, or I can do it right here in the browser. Now that this model has been trained, and I'm not too happy with the loss function, but we can actually test the model. And we can see that the loss function is pretty high. This model probably needs to be trained a bit more. So let's go ahead and take a look at store 102. I'm going to load the data from the database. I'm going to prepare the model. And I'm going to load a trained model directly from the database. I could have saved that last training that I wanted to, but in this case, I've already trained this quite significantly and saved the model. So I've loaded it. Now I can start doing some predictions. Let's do that. Let's predict what the best price would be. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this visualization. This is TF Viz, which is included in this page through an SDK. All of this is nothing more than HTML running in Realm serverless and being hosted for us. We didn't have to install anything to get this to work. So we've loaded the model. We've done our prediction. We're going to do our first prediction at $2.89. We'll add this to the notes. That's actually $1 more than we're charging today. We'll take a look at what our current charge is, and we're actually losing money if we raise the price that high. Let's go a little bit lower. Let's go to $1.79, and we can see that we're also losing money. So somewhere between $1.89 and $2.89 is probably a sweet spot. Let's take a look at $2.50. That's at 29,000. We've already gone up about $3,000. Let's see if it's a little bit lower. Let's take a look at $2.35. Add that in. So we're at $30,000. We're doing quite well. Let's go a little bit higher and a little bit lower. That's still higher. We'll add it. Let's go to 237. It's actually lower. So it looks to us that the sweet spot is $2.36. And just by running machine learning, we're able to actually increase profits at this one particular store by $4,000 a day. So machine learning is definitely worth it for Brave Organics. It's a good investment. Now that we've done this, they may ask us to do something else, like, well, let's take a look at temperature data. What happens if it's hot outside? Or the weather data. What should we charge based on temperature and price? And so one of the things that we can do is actually go through and change that by loading in the data. Let's take a look at what that would be. Currently, we're going to see what the data set that we have in MongoDB Atlas. And we can see that we have price, quantity, and total sales. We do not have temperature data. So we'll go ahead and we'll load that data in right here. There we go. We're going to import the CSV data. And if we do a find now, we can see that we have data for store 101. And we do now have high temperature data recorded as well. So I'm going to load this data from the database. And we're going to actually prepare this data. And we'll prepare it for training. One of the things that I want to do is be able to say temperature versus gallons sold. And we'll actually look at the high temperature. I didn't have to remodel the database. I didn't have to change a line of code. I'm able to actually go through and load the data from the database, prepare the model, and actually see it here. And then I'm able to actually train that new model. So I was able to actually load this information in, and without having to change the database, without having to remodel anything or rewrite one single line of code, I'm able to do machine learning against that data set. I can also go against any collection that I have in the database and train that model against it without changing a line of code, by simply changing what collection I'm looking at and the parameters that are with it. So I have a flexible data model. I'm able to query that data and get just the data that I'm looking for. I'm able to run machine learning against it, save the models, and load the models from MongoDB Atlas, which runs as a service in all three of the other cloud providers, all three of the major cloud providers. This cannot be done by any other modern database. And this has removed all the barriers to machine learning to allow me to run both the machine learning as a service and the database as a service. It's fantastic. I have everything that we've seen here. You actually have the ability to do on your own in about an hour's time. You can rewrite this application with the GitHub link. Check out the GitHub link below. Hope to see and hear from you soon. Thanks. Have a good day.